Hi, so what do you think? Is it Knif or Knif? Is the K silent, as in knife, or is it not? Anyway, in this video I'm going to take a look at the Soma EQ, the new mastering EQ by Plugin Alliance, and I'm going to compare it to my gold standard of mixed bus hardware equalizers, the A-Design's Hammer. I'll take a look at this plugin in general and I'll compare it on a couple of tracks to my hardware hammer, which is back in the rack here. And the results are, well, let's go. Now obviously this is an episode in the series of hardware versus plugin, but I do not really have a hardware Soma EQ. But such a thing does exist. Let's have a look at the website. And over there you can see that it's a passive equalizer, but it's quite unique in the fact that it has Q adjustments, which normally on a passive equalizer you apparently don't have those Q adjustments. Now the hardware also carries a pretty hefty price tag, so it's a nice thought that we can now have this in plugin form as well to use on as many of our tracks as we want. Now as for the plugin, it's by Plugin Alliance Brainworks, and you can see that the picture looks, well, very much like the hardware equalizer. At the moment of recording this video, I don't have a price yet for this plugin because it's just available for the subscription people of Plugin Alliance and as a free trial, which I will be running. But the actual sale price will be known as of February 1st, which is tomorrow actually. So I may be able to still add it while editing this video. But as with most high-profile Plugin Alliance releases, I expect the price to be quite hefty at first. Maybe around $300, just my guess. So let's have a quick look at the actual plugin in Cubase. This is it. You can see that there are basically 4 equalizer bands with Q controls going from 0.5 to shelf. So you don't only have shelf for the top and low band, but you also have shelf for the mid band. And the frequencies are different for each band. There's also a high pass filter and a low pass filter. And on the low pass filter you can vary the slope. It's either 6 dB or 12 dB per octave, and that also changes the frequencies in the high pass filter. There's a trim control, there's an on and off switch for every band, a mute switch. You have auto listen, which means that when you vary the Q control or the frequency, the plugin will focus on just that frequency so you can see what you're going to adjust. You can use it in stereo mode or MS mode, and you can also unlink the left, right or MS signal, and that's most useful when you're using it as an MS equalizer, of course. On off, the TMT modeling of Brainworks, where they model the variances of the components in an equalizer so that you can make sure that no two instances of this equalizer sound exactly the same. You have their standard mono maker and stereo width controls, input gain and output gain, and the headroom is actually a nice way to lower the headroom of the modeled hardware and thereby increasing the saturation that the plugin induces. Because if we take a quick look at this plugin in Plugin Doctor, you can see that if we have a look at the harmonic analysis, you can see that the plugin actually causes some harmonics. When being fed with a 1 kHz signal, you see additional harmonics being added by the plugin. And if you lower the headroom, those harmonics will increase both in size as well as in number. And it's only really when really lowering the headroom that you start seeing some anti-aliasing artifacts, which are foldbacks of the harmonics below the original frequency. But in general, if you keep this under control, it shouldn't really be a problem. So let's have a quick test drive of how this plugin actually sounds. And I'll let you listen to this plugin by putting it on an already fully mastered track by Streambeats. And the track is called Rack, and Streambeats provides copyright-free music for content creators. I'll provide a link to their site in the description below. So let's take a listen. And I'll just vary some of the controls so you can listen to their effect.
Something's wrong, I feel it circling like vultures around my brain. Couldn't see the danger in your eyes. Draw me in, got me spinning now like water to a drain. You were perfect till I realized you hadn't shown your face. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out to pray. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong.
So as you can tell by this quick test, it's a very transparent equalizer, and even the quite large boosts or cuts don't really seem that large, as they don't really make the track sound bad in any way. It all seems very controlled. So let's now have a listen to how this sounds on a full mix compared to my Hammer hardware equalizer. So over here you can see two exports of a full mix that I'm doing of a live track of a wash that we played many years ago, and that I just wanted to do a bit of a remix for. And the first track is with the Hammer hardware equalizer on the mix bus, and the second track is with the Soma equalizer on the mix bus instead of the Hammer. And I tried to match the Hammer equalizer curves with the Soma EQ by using Plugin Doctor, and this is the result. So these curves seem pretty equal. So let's now listen to the results.
Tasted the wine, seen the end, thrown no line, I'm where you and they are the better of me, 'cause I'm on the run, yes I'm on the run, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to run, I'm ready to go.
So can you hear an obvious difference? Let me know in the comments. I must say that I feel that it sounds very similar on this mix, but if you hear a difference, please let me know. Now on to a drum mix. Okay, next up is a drum mix from the wash track The Calling, and I have a whole series of videos on how we produced that track, and I'll put a link to that playlist in the description below, as well as a link to the video clip of this song that we recently released, and a link that will lead you to your favorite streaming service for this song. If you take a look at the project, I have the track without EQ, with the A-Designs Hammer EQ, and with the Soma EQ. And these are the settings that I used on the Hammer EQ for this track. So let's first have a short listen to the drum mix without EQ and with the Hammer EQ to get an idea of what I was going for. So as you can tell, a nice boost in the high frequencies and a nice boost in the low frequencies as well. And again, I try to match the Hammer EQ curve with the Soma EQ by using Plugin Doctor and comparing the curves of these EQs, which is shown over here. And then again, I used Match EQ to further match the Soma EQ track with the Hammer EQ track. And these are the results after adjusting the Soma EQ as well as possible to match the Hammer EQ. So let's have a listen to the differences. Hammer EQ hardware versus Soma EQ plugin. So what do you think? Can you hear any differences on YouTube? Otherwise you can download these tracks with the link in the description below so you can compare them in your own DAW. For me, I hear a slight difference mostly in the low end, where the Hammer EQ seems to be a bit more loose or flabby, and the Soma EQ seems to be a bit tighter to me. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on where you stand. So let me know how you perceive this in the comments below. Now let's move on to comparing these two equalizers on a vocal track. So I again have three tracks, and this is the vocal track of an Awash song called 500 Miles, courtesy of Perfect Sounds Unleashed, who recorded this vocal. And the first track is the vocal without any EQ, the second track is the vocal with the external plugin being the Hammer EQ, and the third track is the vocal with the Soma EQ on there. And again, I try to match the Soma EQ to the Hammer track by using Plugin Doctor and getting the curves equal, and that looked like this. And then I checked the results by using Match EQ from the FabFilter Pro Q3, and this was the resulting curve, so it's pretty flat, so I didn't really have to adjust anything additionally. So let's first have a listen to what I tried to do with the equalizer by listening to the track without EQ and the one with the Hammer EQ.
Storm is rising, the wind is crying, stars are falling down.
So I basically tried to get a vocal sound which I like in the mix, which is cutting the lows a bit, raising the low mids a little bit and raising the highs to really cut through in the mix.
Storm is rising, the wind is crying, stars are falling down. Hope is rising, the world is trying to keep those stars in place. Put a smile back on your face.
So I'm curious, did you manage to hear any difference? Because I'm hard pressed to really tell the differences, even here on these studio monitors. Maybe I should listen again on headphones, but I think it's really close, this one. So let me know what differences, if any, you heard in this. So again, let me know what you think about this plugin in the comments. For me, I can be short, I really like it a lot. I think this is as close as I've ever come to a plugin that could possibly replace my Hammer hardware equalizer on the mix bus. So I'll have to see whether it actually does at some point. Now if you like this video or find it useful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell icon so you know when I post another video. And for support, you can also buy something with the affiliate links in the description. And next up is a video in which I compare the AMIC EQ200 plugin to the A-Design's Hammer equalizer as well. So have a look at that, enjoy and see you soon.